Sylvia Hamer,
Here.
Peter Machete, Brian O'Dwyer,
Here.
Marissa Shorenstein,
Here.
Jerry Skurnick.
Here.
Ms. Secretary, will you please have the record reflect that a quorum of qualified members is present, thus enabling the transaction of business. Mr. Machete had tried to dial in but was having some difficulty with it. His attempts will be noted.
Minutes of the commission meeting conducted on December 4, 2023 have been provided to the members in advance. At this time, I'd like to ask the members if there are any edits, corrections, or amendment. Hearing none, please let the record reflect, Ms. Secretary, that the minutes were accepted. Now call on our executive director for his report.
Thank you, sir. One of the most substantial projects being considered by the Commission regards the additional licensing process to consider and award the remaining commercial casino licenses authorized under the state constitution. I'd like to take my time today to discuss the process and the various requirements that must be navigated by the bidders. The statute lays out two substantial checkpoints before the Gaming Facility Location Board can consider an application. An applicant must have local zoning approval and approval of their local community advisory committee. The statute sets forth no deadlines for when zoning and community advisory committees' approval must be obtained, but careful readers of the state financial plan or the Metropolitan Transit Authority capital budget will note that licensing revenues are not booked until calendar year 2026. Thus, the process remains ahead of schedule. As we have previously discussed at commission meetings, the City of New York is in the process of considering a textual amendment to their zoning code, which would allow licensed commercial casino gambling as a permitted use by right. Functionally, the proposed zoning change would allow up to 3 gaming facilities in select commercial and manufacturing districts, with the facilities considered compliant with zoning if they have been licensed through the state process. This process is long underway, having been formally commenced on November 27th of 2023. Procedurally, the City Planning Commission considered a gaming facility text amendment as calendar item number 4 at their public meeting on March 20th, 2024, just last week, and approved the proposal with amendments. Functionally, that means that the New York City Council has 65 days from March 20th to consider and vote on the amendment. Even assuming an affirmative action by the City Council, not all potential bidders will be able to avail themselves of the text amendment. There are 4 known projects that require navigation of the New York City Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, which is more commonly referred to as ULURP. These projects have specific requirements that are not governed by the text amendment, such as mapping changes, grading, or revocable consent to construct over streets. While it is my understanding that each of these 4 are deep into various stages of the ULURP process, I've been informally advised that navigating the ULURP process will extend through the second quarter of 2025. Accordingly, a substantive question staff have considered is how long should the Gaming Facility Location Board give applicants to obtain their zoning approvals, especially considering the length of the ULURP process. While there has been much written about zoning and CAC requirements, there is a third requirement that will implicate timelines that has not been widely discussed publicly, and that is the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQR, process. Under the state law, most discretionary land use actions are subject to the State Environmental Quality Review process. With any proposed casino gaming development, it is certainly unlikely that any proposed bid would be other than a Type 1 action requiring SEQR. I believe that all parties considering making an application understand that they will be required to navigate an environmental process. Practically, the SEQR process is lengthy, with the purpose to identify any potential adverse environmental effects of proposed actions, assess their significance, and propose measures to eliminate or mitigate significant impacts. This seeker process requirement ties neatly into the city ULURP processes. As I mentioned earlier, there are 4 projects navigating ULURP, which, as a discretionary land use action considered by the City Planning Commission, requires the navigation of the city environmental quality review process. Under the law, when an agency proposes to directly undertake or approve a Type 1 action, it must conduct a coordinated review if more than one agency is involved. And I can confirm that we have been in frequent contact with the New York City Planning Department. Additionally, the Commission has been added as an involved agency in several other seeker processes. For the purposes of clarity, for those projects where the City of New York or a properly qualified local agency has not sought designation as a lead agency, the Commission will undertake that role. So what does this mean for timelines? At present, the request for applications contains language that triggers an application filing within 30 days of the posting of round 2 questions and answers. Practically, it makes little sense to trigger the RFA filing as a substantial completion of the seeker or ULURP processes are unlikely to conclude before the first quarter of 2025, and the environmental review processes for routinely see projects substantially amended or altered during the process. Additionally, each bidder has a continuing duty to update their application over time. Any changes necessitated by environmental review would trigger an amendment. In fact, the establishment of an early RFA application filing would require continual update of all market-based responses, and all financial answers will likely have to be modified over time. This would pose an administrative nightmare, as additional or subtracted pages from a large application would have to be carefully seeded or culled. To give perspective, when the applications came due in 2014, we had discussions with building management to ensure our floors had appropriate weight capacity to accommodate the submitted materials. There were hundreds of thousands of pages of records. While we are mostly digital now, the integration and deletion of pages is even more challenging than with paper records, because you have to integrate that digital record into existing digital records. Additionally, at the time of application, applicants are required to make certain representations regarding the ability to fully fund a proposal. The encumbering of money well in advance of when a determination on licensing is made could substantially increase the cost of access to the capital markets, which could have an unintended impact of causing a reduction in the size and scope of a proposal. As substantial completion of the state seeker or city seeker processes are unlikely before the first quarter of calendar 2025 ends, coupled with City Planning's advisement that the 4 applications in ULURP are unlikely to begin to emerge until late in the first quarter of 2025, it seems a timeline could be constructed that uses 2024 to process environmental review, allows a reasonable time for New York City-based applications to emerge from the ULURP process, which will benefit the state by ensuring a more fulsome, robust roster of applicants, and envisions an establishment of community advisory committees in mid-2025, all of which would find a convergence of the zoning approvals, CAC considerations, and environmental review completion by late summer 2025, allowing for a gaming facility location board decision in late 2025, resulting in a commission license consideration before the end of 2025, achieving a license fee nearly 1 year prior to its booking by both the state and the MTA. Of course, the Gaming Facility Location Board is likely to meet in the next coming weeks to formally consider the timeline I laid out. Staff believes the timeline accommodates existing statutory requirements for seeker and allows sufficient time for local zoning approvals, which will enable the best, most comprehensive plans for commercial casino development. Lastly, today, I want to, as redevelopment of Belmont Park has been an item of substantial interest to commission members, please be informed that the Franchise Oversight Board has scheduled a meeting this upcoming Thursday to consider, among other things, approval of the Belmont Park renovation, project seeker for that project, and a loan and repayment agreement that would govern the project. For those interested, the meeting will be webcast. Its web address is located on the Franchise Oversight Board website, and the meeting begins at 8 a.m. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Commissioners, any questions? I have a couple. So as I understand it, the consideration of the timeline is because we are required to follow the legislative requirements as set forth in the statute. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So that absent those requirements, probably it could have been done a little bit faster. We're reading enough about that this is certain complaints about the timeline. Had we not had those legislative requirements, this could have been done a whole lot faster.
Well, perhaps it could have been. If you look at the 2014 and 2015 processes, both of them didn't require a community advisory committee, and it required the zoning to be a little bit different than the ULURP process that we have here. So both of those were able to be navigated in a much shorter time frame than we're looking today. But those are existing statutory requirements, and those have to be abided by as well.
Which we have to deal with. Commissioners, anybody? No? Okay, let us move on. New York State Racing Parimutuel Wagering and Breeding Law, Section 10419, authorizes the Commission to promulgate rules and regulations that it deems necessary to carry out its responsibilities. To that regard, the Commission will from time to time promulgate rules and rule amendments pursuant to the State Administrative Procedure Act. Today, I have one rule for adoption and consideration and two rules for proposed consideration. Mr. Williams will outline the first.
For Commission consideration is the adoption of amendments to the lottery prize payment and subscription rules intended to improve the claims process and clarify practices and interpretations. First, the amendments propose a change to guaranteed for life payouts to a specific annual amount rather than being obligated to reconcile and adjust during a final year payment. This would reduce administrative costs of oversight and should minimally increase the annual amount for a claimant. Staff also proposes to limit lottery subscription programs to individuals by eliminating provisions related to subscriptions by groups. This will ensure that only New York residents can directly purchase a lottery ticket. It will not affect the claiming of a lottery prize by a group. The proposed rules also make explicit that subscriptions are void if the payment for the ticket is rejected for non-sufficient funds, and to reserve authority to suspend a subscription in the event of suspicious transactions. The proposed amendments would also clarify responsibilities to ensure that all statutory offsets against either past due support or public assistance benefits are satisfied by requiring prizes of $600 or more to be directly presented to the Commission for payment, rather than allowing them to be paid out at a lottery licensed sales agent location. Current regulations authorize lottery sales agents to pay prizes of $600 or less, while the offset language requires lottery prizes of $600 or more be reviewed. Corresponding amendments to thresholds pertaining to lottery courier services are also proposed. Finally, other amendments will codify existing practice of allowing a claimant to direct payment to a bank account, allow delivery of a prize by means other than the United States Postal Service, add a regulatory reference to the statutory offset for past due state tax liabilities, and make technical stylistic edits to sections related to prize payments and subscriptions, such as adding titles to subdivisions, improving word choices, and using Department of State style conventions. No public comments were received. Staff recommends that the Commission adopt this rulemaking.
Commissioners, any questions on the adoption?
I notice your jackpot friends, or the courier services, made it into the bill.
Yeah, that's one of the requirements of what we're changing for the standard. Also affects the courier services.
Reiterate my complete opposition to their existence and our regulation of them. But
So noted. May I have a motion to adopt this rule?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Heard from Commissioner Crotty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Williams?
For commission consideration is a proposed consensus rulemaking to update our address from 1 Broadway Center in Schenectady to 354 Broadway in Schenectady. Our address appears in 15 different sections of rules. Additionally, staff proposes elimination of an unnecessary subdivision in Lottery Rule 5000.4. Staff recommends that the commission authorize the proposal of this consensus rulemaking.
Shall I set aside an hour, hour and a half for
Long
debate
debate,
on this?
long debate.
On this?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussions on the motion?
No.
Already too many.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item of scheduled business regards adjudications.
Whoops, I'm missing a rule.
Am I?
You're not, I am. I apologize. It seems to have been.
Commission rule.
Actually, we should have had some discussion on that. Missed that totally.
I think I have it here. Hold on just a second.
I got it here. Okay. Thank you. Yep, I got it. Thank you.
You know, Bob, this is sort of Peter's issue also.
Yeah, I apologize for the narrative. I don't seem to have the narrative here, but let me at least try to wing it here. So for commission consideration is a proposed change to the existing harness whipping rules. The idea is to try to clarify some of the operation of the rules by making it more consistent both in their application, combining the whipping rule along with kicking and taking your foot out of a stirrup, and setting forth a penalty schedule that is consistent and without discretion, so that whipping rules, whipping and kicking penalties would be a penalty of 7 days, while others will have a progressive increase in the number of days and the number of, the amount of different fines that are imposed relative to it. This is something that came to our attention in some discussions that I've had with Commissioner Peter Michetti and Commissioner, Chairman Brian O'Dwyer, relative to the number and frequency of certain violations that we've seen relative to that. Brian, do you want to?
Yeah, let me ask that this be put over till the next meeting. Commissioner Rossetti isn't here.
I think that's right.
And I also think that frankly, I have some discussions I need on the proposed staff. I think they're inadequate. And I think we need to have a fuller discussion on this. So may I have a motion to put this over till the
Yeah.
next meeting?
Yeah, Peter should be a part of it.
So moved.
And wanted to be.
Second.
Yeah.
Right, and wanted to be.
Yes, all right. All right, we'll put that over till the next meeting.
For anyone who's interested in seeing at least what the staff had proposed, it's in our public meeting book.
Yeah.
So that's something that's up online that anyone can take a look at. And if they have any questions, concerns, et cetera, that gives us another month at least to prepare, address, and resolve any of those
Yeah,
concerns.
and I would like to, these are, obviously, these are rules that affect the industry, and if I'm certainly willing and anxious to hear from the industry and for anyone who might be affected as to their viewpoint on this.
If you would like, I can reach out to the Sierra Bird Owners Association, whose chief is the president of the United States Trotting Association, and get his opinions. What we've tried to do with a substantial amount of the rule is follow the USDA model rule and try to have some conformity relative to that. But our penalty structure is different than what the USDA proposed.
Yeah, I think anybody who would like to discuss this it's an important rule. It's a deviation from what we've done for many years, and it bears a lot of discussion. So by the next meeting, I think we'll have put that offer and ask for other people's opinions as well. Okay. The next item of scheduled business regards adjudications. Today we have 6 matters for adjudication. Mr. Williams.
On June 26, 2023, the Bureau of Licensing issued a notice of license suspension to Assam Convenience Corporation at 96th Street in Brooklyn. The notice informed Assam of a license revocation for failure to pay tax or engaging in conduct that constitutes a fraud, deceit, material misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to the public confidence in the state lottery. Specifically, the licensee was found to be in possession of untaxed cigarettes. A hearing was conducted on October 10th, 2023 and December 19th, 2023, and the hearing officer issued a report dated March 1st, 2024, recommending that the license be suspended as set forth in the notice of license suspension. The commission considered this matter at a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial exemption of New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1.
The commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined upon a 6-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendation.
Second matter, on April 20th, 2023, the state steward at NYRA issued violation notices to Norman Follett and Alexander Kasdan, fining each for $2,000 for transferring the claimed horse microscope to a different trainer prior to 30 days from the date of the such claim, in violation of Commission Rule 4038.4. Such rule provides in relevant part, if a rule is claimed, the horse shall not be sold or transferred to anyone wholly or in part except in a claiming race for a period of 30 days from the date of the claim. Each of Follett and Kasdan requested a hearing. The matters were consolidated, resulting in a hearing being conducted on July 26, 2023 and September 28, 2023. The hearing officer issued a report dated January 18, 2024, recommending that the commission find no violation by either and impose no penalty against either.
The commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined by a 6-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendation.
On April 20th, 2023, the state steward at NYRA issued a violation notice to Thomas Lamarca Jr., fining him $2,000 for transferring the claimed horse Irish Honor to a different trainer prior to 30 days from the date of the claim, in violation of Commission Rule 4038.4. That rule, as I previously read, states that if a horse is claimed, the horse shall not be sold or transferred to anyone wholly or in part except in a claiming race for a period of 30 days from the date of the claim. Lamarca requested a hearing, which was conducted on October 12th, 2023. The hearing officer issued a report dated January 18th, 2024, recommending that the commission find no violation and impose no penalties.
Commission duly deliberated, considered this matter, and determined upon a 6-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendation.
On June 11th, 2023, the state steward at NYRA issued a violation notice to thoroughbred trainer Todd Pletcher, suspending him for 14 days and fining him $2,000 for an overage of the nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drug phenylbutazone in the horse Capensis, which was found in the horse after the 10th race at Saratoga Racecourse on July 30th, 2022, in violation of Commission Rules 4043.3A26 and 4043.4. Mr. Fletcher requested a hearing which was conducted on November 9th, 2023. The hearing officer issued a report dated January 31st, 2024, recommending that the penalties be imposed as they had been determined by the state steward and that the horse be disqualified from the race and any share of the purse from such race.
The commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined upon a 6-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendations. I know that this penalty is enhanced as fetal zone overage occurred within 1 year of Mr. Fletcher's meloxicam positive, which adjudication is finalized on December 4, 2023. As per the commission's procedures, the timing of those suspensions will be determined by the stewards, and we will look to see when that happens.
Weren't you going to get another answer on that, Brown?
I'm sorry.
Weren't you going to get another answer, what the other standards were?
To find out the standards and history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still doing the research.
Okay.
The next matter, the state steward at NYRA imposed a 14-day suspension on then apprentice jockey Jaime Torres for careless riding of the horse Wonder Girl in the second race at Belmont Park on July 3rd, 2023, in violation of Commission Rule 4035.2D. Mr. Torres requested a hearing, which was conducted on July 28th, 2023, August 25th, 2023, and September 22nd, 2023. The hearing officer issued a report dated February 12th, 2024, recommending a finding of violation and a 14-day suspension as the penalty.
The commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined upon a 6-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendations.
The final adjudication today is 7721 SM Delhi. On November 15th, 2023, the Bureau of Licensing issued a notice of license revocation to 7721 SM Deli and Grocery, Inc., which is located on Church Avenue in Brooklyn. The notice informed 7721 SM of a license revocation for engaging in conduct that constitutes a fraud, deceit, misrepresentation, or conduct prejudicial to the public confidence in the state lottery. The notice also stated that the action was taken because the owner of record had been arrested and charged with possession of a gambling device, in this case, a slot machine. SS21SM requested a hearing, which was conducted on January 10th, 2024. The hearing officer issued a report on February 14th, 2024, recommending that 7721SM's license be revoked.
Commission duly deliberated and considered this matter and determined upon a 6-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendations. New and old business. As all of you have heard, I have previously raised concerns regarding thoroughbred trainer Stephen Asmussen and his stable's action regarding his employees. Specifically, late last year, we heard that his stable had entered into a consent finding an order in the U.S. Department of Labor proceeding, which ordered his stable to pay over $200,000 in unpaid workers' reimbursements and civil penalties. To gain a bit of insight into this action, I urged our staff to exchange correspondence with Mr. Abuse's attorney, who provided a vigorous defensive explanation. Recently, however, the commission was informed that Mr. Asmussen's racing stable had been adjudicated liable by a federal district court in Kentucky for wage and hour violations totaling more than $480,000 in actual and liquidated damages. The most concerning part of this judge's finding was that basically shortchanging of his workers was willful on the part of Mr. Asmussen. Because of that, I have informed the general counsel of this. We have referred that for his determination and to take whatever actions they deem appropriate. He will be coming back to this commission with his report and his determination or his recommendation to this commission as to what what actions, if any, we will take. I must say that over the course of the years, we have, as a commission, been very, very concerned, as we should be, about trainers and how they deal with their equine athletes, our horses. I think we should be equally concerned with, and are, as to trainers and training stables as to how they treat their employees. This is a situation that we take very, very seriously, and we look to whatever adjudications are appropriate in the future, once we get the general counsel's report. I want to commend a couple of people. One, I want to commend Commissioner Skurnick for going out and doing his work in terms of explaining the process that we're going through in terms of casino licensing. I listened to him. He was able to take a very complicated process and with his inimitable good grace and style, break it down and make it understandable to all that were there. And it's important that the public have some confidence in this. And I want to thank Commissioner Skurnick for his work on that.
Well, thank you.
It's very important. I want to also commend our staff for, again, the work that they're doing on the casinos, which is really difficult and has been taking up a lot of their time, particularly our executive director, who has his time, as we well know, working on other matters for the governor in the state of New York, and it has been not easy. Finally, I want to note that in terms of the lottery, that the Mega Millions jackpot is $1.1 billion tonight. Nobody on the commission was able to buy a lottery ticket. So, Commissioner Hamer, this job has just cost you $1 billion. Powerball is $800 million. But as we will talk about it later on, sales for the jackpots that in this particular run-up for the Mega Millions has put in $40 million into New York State public schools. Powerball, $32 million in New York State public schools that otherwise would not happen. And the jackpot sales for the small businesses that sell our tickets, $7 million on Mega Millions, 5.4 in Powerball. These are shots in the arms to many of these businesses. So, congratulations to all on that. We'll be hearing some more on that. With that, I will, unless there's any other business coming before the commission, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.